Hello, this is K.Jolie with Crochet Basics, and in this episode I'm going to show you how to make a super cute kid sun hat for spring and stuff, you know. So, what you need is, I'm going to use Sugars and Cream cotton yarn, a US size H8, which is a 5 millimeter, stitch marker for later on, a yarn needle for later on. It's always good to have a tape measure, and let's get going, I guess, with your cotton yarn and your H hook. Let's get this going. And this is a kid's hat, but you know, if you need to adjust or what have you. All right, so you're gonna, if you start with a slip knot, that's fine. I always say I don't. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I don't. So you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and in that third chain from the hook, the first loop you made, you're going to do 2 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, sorry, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and do 3 double crochet. Alright, and then you'll chain 1 and you'll slip stitch into the first chains that you made. And then you'll pull your tail tight, because we worked around our tail so that we can tighten it up nice and tight. I'm sorry, I need to adjust this camera here. Okay. Just flailing about here. Alright, so here you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to skip over the double crochets that you made, so all of these, and you're going to go into that chain space. And in the chain space you're going to do 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then another 3, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, skip over these double crochets that we made, and go into the chain space. The reason I only did the reason I'm doing only a chain 1 is because I want it to be tighter, not so, like the loops to be not so big or what have you. I mean, if you're used to doing, I'm sure you're used to, if you've done a granny square, what have you, you're used to doing the chain 2. But I like to do a chain 1. It just tightens it up. Sometimes when you do the chain 2, it just makes the loops really big, and I don't like that. My preference, right? All right, so 1 double crochet, you'll do 2 more, a chain 1, and then 3 more. Chain 1, you'll skip your doubles, go into the chain space, chain 1, 3 double crochet, alright, now here's the you'll do 3 double crochet. This is your last loop here for this row. So you'll do 3 double crochet, you'll chain 1, and then you'll only do 2 double crochet because we're going to slip stitch, and the beginning chain counts as your double crochet on that. So that's what it looks like so far. So you'll slip stitch, pull up your loop, alright, and then you'll chain 2. So that's the little tricky part right there. And so just to show you, because you know what, I don't really make swatches, and I'm always unsure as far as what I'm showing you, you know, with gauge and all of that kind of thing. So my poor measuring tape is so worn. So just under 3 inches I have across for the first 2 rows. So for this row, for row 3, we're gonna pick up again So your chains count as your first double crochet, so you'll do 2 more. 1, 2, chain 1, and in the corner you're going to work the corner with the 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. And in this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work these as corners. The side ones, we're going to work them as corners, and that'll give us our width so that it fits us or our kid or what have you. So you'll go in and you'll do your 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. You're going to work that all the way around. And it's going to be wavy or what have you. Like it's going to be, it's not going to sit flat is what I'm trying to say. It's not going to sit flat. Now this last corner you'll just work it, 3 double crochet, a chain 1, 3 double crochet, a chain 1, and then you'll slip into your chains from the previous. Okay, and then you'll chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So when you're going, when you're carrying it over 3 double crochet, you want to do the extra chain to get you to the next space. So this is what it looks like so far after that row, and it's a little like mine's laying more flat because I guess I'm special. No, but because this is the first row of the increases like that, so there is a little wonk, a little wavy in here. I don't know if it shows really on the camera because I'm looking through a little tiny viewfinder, and the color I'm using is beach glass, and it looks white to me on here, so don't know. Anyway, so for row 4, right, 1, 2, 3. So for row 4, you're going to skip over your 3 double crochet here. All right, so now for row 4, we're just going to work 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet all the way around in each chain space, and you're not going to work your corners as corners. You're just going to do the 3 double crochet all the way around for row 4. Alright, and then in your last one you'll do 2 double crochet and slip stitch into your chain, and that makes that chain the first double crochet or the last double crochet. So this is what it looks like so far. Now we're just going to repeat this, right? We're going to repeat row 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to repeat it up to row 9. And you'll just keep doing how we just did for row 4. 3 DC in each, 3 double crochet in each, and then alternating how you start and end the row. So this time we did 2 double crochets and the chain is at the end, and then the next time you'll do your chain will be in the front, in the beginning. All right, so you'll repeat row 4 up until you get to row 9, and through magic I will be back. You can pause it, come back, subscribe to come back, and all that kind of thing. All right, so you could pause it here, and I'll be back in a moment after I finished working my rows. Just to show you right quick, as of row 4, just row 4, you should have 5 1/4, almost 5 1/2, around 5 inches across before working row 5. All right, so I'm at row 9, and this is just to check progress. That's really why I had you just go to row 9. 9 seems like a nice roundish number. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. And remember, it's a kid's hat, but you should have stretch. You know, you should have some stretch in there and whatever. And also, if it's smaller, you know, than this or what have you, a lot of times when you first crochet, if you're new to crochet or whatever it is, the stitches are tighter when you first do them. And then as the as, you know, the hat or the shirt or whatever it is, you know, gets tried on and worn and whatever, it loosens up. Usually, not always, but almost always, depending on the type of yarn, actually, you know, and how you care for it. If you care for it, you know, sometimes when you put stuff in the dryer, if it's a natural fiber and things like that, you want to avoid that or what have you. Or felting, when it's agitated and hot and cold and all that kind of thing. That's how you felt wool and natural fiber. All right, so at row 9, I'm at 5 inches long. Okay, and across I'm at 8 1/2, 9. So that's perfect width, you know, because you would double that, and that's perfect width around. All right, so from here, from row 9, you'll do 3 more rows. 2 rows might get you your length that you need, but you know, that 3rd row is optional, I guess. And then from there, I'll show you how we're gonna get the brim going and all of that. So if you want to pause it here, and I'll work mine, you'll work yours if you're working it with me. Okay, and I'll be back. Oh, and measure, you know, tape measure, whatever, because as I say, you know, I say it, if you've ever seen any of my other videos, how I crochet is not how you crochet, and my tension is not your tension, you know. So what I have lengthwise, measuring wise, although you should have something similar, maybe you don't. You know, maybe you have a different cotton yarn, or maybe you're using a bigger hook or a smaller hook or what have you, you know. So it's always good to, when you're working up your own pattern or anybody else's pattern, that kind of thing, it's always good to have your measuring tape. Very important, because, you know, what I get for 12 rows in length, maybe you got an extra 2 inches, or you're shy, you know, 3 inches or some kind of something, you know, something silly like that. You never know. Sometimes patterns just don't work out the way you think, you know. All right, and I'll be back. You could pause it here or what have you. And all right, so now I just finished row 11, and I was gonna go to row 12, but I don't want it to be too long because I'm putting a brim on it, you know. So I don't want the brim to be too, you know, what's the word? If the hat's too long with the brim, then it'll come over the eye, and then it, you know, it won't fit right. All right, so after row 11, I have about 6 1/2 inches. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, we're gonna start picking up. We're gonna do a row around, and we're gonna pick up as many stitches as we can. No, I'm kidding. All right, so you'll chain 1, and we're gonna do half double crochet all the way around, and you'll pick up in your chain space. So hopefully you pick up, I want to say 4 per cluster, if that makes sense. But I'll give you a count because my count might be different from your count, Papa. All of that kind of thing. All right, so a half double crochet all the way around, picking up, and make sure you pick up in your chain space. Now counting my chain as a stitch, you should have 60. You should have 60 stitches, hopefully. If you're one shy or one over, add one in at the end. Okay? Just, you know, just boom, add it in. Not a big deal. All right, so from here, I'm gonna, what am I doing here? All right, from here, I'm gonna slip stitch into the first chain that I had made, okay? So make sure, it's not really that big of a deal, but the right side of your stitches. So I worked it this way. These are my, this is where I went in. So this is the right side of the stitch, as you know, and that would be the wrong side, which is very similar, but more knotted, like more knot looking, I guess you could say. And here is more twisty looking, if you ask me. It doesn't matter so much. You know, it only matters when you're attaching. If you know, worked up something separately, that's when it really matters. Because then it'll, you'll notice the front to the back. All right, so for here, we're gonna go into this side of the braid. Here's our braid. Okay, so front is front loops closest to you, and back loops are further away. All right, so what did I do? I chained one, and now I'm going to work a single crochet in the front loop only, and we're going to leave the back loop unworked. It'll make a little ridge, no big deal. So you're going to work 60 stitches around, or if you know, added in an extra, or you know, what have you. So you'll work 60 in the front loop only, single crochet all the way around. And this is our base for the brim that we're putting on here. All right, this row of single. So I'm gonna slip into the first one, chain 2, and make sure, just, you know, side note or whatever, make sure you got some stretch going on, because you don't want, this is more of a fitted hat, and you don't, sometimes when you change stitch at the very bottom, this top part, which is the looser stitch, will bow out, and it makes kind of like a Little Miss Muffet hat type of thing, kind of like a beret, but not really, just, you know, kind of puffy up top and not fitting. And then this'll, if you do this too tight, the edge, boy, it will cut your circulation off and you'll look crazy. And it makes the hat uncomfortable and all that kind of thing until the hat is stretched out and all that stuff. All right, so now for row 14, all right, we're gonna start adding our brim. Now, with this, we're gonna add a couple of increases. So you should be at 60, and we'll add a couple of increases so that it comes out. I'm sorry. All right, so let's get our brim going. So you're gonna go through both sides of the braid for this, and don't forget your double crochet counts as a stitch. I'm sorry, your chaining counts as a stitch. It counted as a stitch, you know, double crochet through most of this and all of that kind of thing. Well, almost the whole thing, right? Anyway, so from here we're going to increase, we're going to make our brim, and it's going to be a little floppy or what have you. So you'll do 3 double crochet, and then your 4th and 5th are in the same space. So that's where you're going to increase for this. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5 in the same space. And you'll repeat that all the way around with the increases. So I come up with about 75 stitches, 76 if I work my last stitch and I count my double crochet as a my chaining as a stitch. I keep saying double crochet, my goodness. Okay, so from here you can just do another row, you know, if you want your brim bigger. Now we're gonna pin it up if you want, of course, you know, optional, what have you. So you'll do your chaining and then you'll do another row. Can I just say I just worked half of the brim and gave directions and I wasn't even recording. Oh gosh. All right, let's try that again. For row 15. Oh, it's not even Monday. For row 15. Oh my gosh, where do I begin? All right, so for row 15, I'm just doing 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around. If you want a more wavy brim, you would do more increases to get it, you know, more wavy so that it fans out more. But I'm not doing that because I'm going to pin it up on one side, and that's how my brim will be. Which, you know, it's optional, of course. And if you wanted a bigger brim, you would do another row. So you would do 2 more rows. So you would do 15 and 16 in the double crochet. But I'm ending off at 15. Row 15 is what I'm ending off at. And for row 15, I'm not doing an increase. I'm just doing another row of double crochet without increase. So options are for row 15, if you want it more wavy, more ruffle-like, you'll add in increases. And same goes for row 16, which is optional. For row 15, I'm just doing it 1 double crochet in each all the way around. And I cannot believe I totally just filmed, and it's funny because that's always my fear. That I'll, you know, make a whole thing and that the camera won't even be on. I'll forget to hit the record button, and it actually happened. I thought I hit the record button and I did not. My camera started warning me it was going to turn off. I'm like, how's it going to turn off? It's recording. Nope, not recording. Silliness. All right. So I'm ending off here. I'm going to slip stitch into the first chain, or the first, you know, double crochet that I made, pull up a tail, cut, and weave in. And that's on mine. Okay, so just to show you, with the small brim, what it looks like, you know, and then you can always do a bigger brim, you can always go bigger. My light is giving me grief. So now just to show you with the brim, of course, because you know I love showing you stuff. But with the brim, there's not really like a right and a wrong. After you get your first row in with the increase on this one, which is the one I worked up with you in this video, I did 1 row of no increase with that. So this last row here is just 1 double crochet all the way around, and I think it came out to about 75 stitches or so, something like that. Okay, and then with this second one, I reworked the pattern, of course, just to show you with the increases and how it bells out. Now with the what I did was I did the increase row with the 3 double crochet and then 2 in the next, and then with the second increase row on the brim, I did 4 double crochet, 1 in each, and then 2 in the next. And for the last increase, for the last row on the double crochet here, because you got 1, 2, 3 as far as rows of double crochet to end off for the brim. The last row I didn't do an increase on this double crochet, which is row 16, right? Because this is 14, 15, 16, and then I had some, you know, like a bit left or whatever, so I just did 1 row of half double crochet all the way around just to finish off the yarn. Not, you know, all that's optional and stuff. And you could see the ridge, that's where we only worked one side of the braid as far as that's concerned. So, and then with this you could just pin it up on one side, you know, because it's kind of a floppy brim. So you can pin it up with a flower or a button or, you know, whatever, however you want. And when I say pin it up, I mean, like, you know, fold it higher and do a couple of either sewing it or sewing a button or a flower, you know, something springy, because these are meant for, like, you know, spring and summer and stuff like that. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. So, and that's the difference here. So that's how that came out with the 2 extra rows that I said were optional. And the length on it, this will fit, this hat will fit about 3 or 4, age 3 or 4, and high, you know, like higher than that as far as kids go. Because it does have the stretch, and I told you as you wear, you know, as you wear it, as long as you didn't do your last, when we first started doing the single crochet and then the half double crochet, as long as you didn't drop stitches, it should fit higher than that, age-wise. If you dropped stitches, if you had less than, I said 60, then this will kind of tighten up and it'll cut off your circulation. And then your brain will hurt. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, it could be too tight or what have you. So this comes out to 9 inches long. That's laid flat. Of course, I'm laying it flat. It's not worn. It hasn't been tried on or any kind of thing. This is just the same pattern just to show you. Okay? And that's that. I hope you like making this. And I'll put the optional rows, you know, down below this. And I hope you subscribe and all of that good stuff. And I'll be back soon with my next tutorial. So thank you so much for watching. As always, happy hooking, because it keeps you off the streets. It keeps you out of trouble. And, you know, keeping your kids looking super cute and all that kind of good stuff, right? And I'll be back soon with my next tutorial. Have a super great day. Bye. Crochet Basics, K.Jolie.